This is what the girls in our office do. They have one of these for each state. This may not work for you. A program you bought from Microsoft that sends you an email every time something comes up. You might write it down on a sheet of paper. But basically what we do is something like this. Amanda's gotten very good at this. If you notice, you have the county name, the website and email, the sheriff name, the phone number, the fax number, who has current contract, when does the contract expire. Then we have a little place for notes here on the side, how many number of beds are in the jail, and when we need to follow up with them. Like I said, this is what works for us. 90% of our business comes from this, not from Googling RFPs, because we haven't been down that road. Now, doesn't mean we're going to win them, but we know, the main thing is we know when the window of opportunity is. And look, this wasn't easy to get. Sometimes 6 phone calls to get to that point. And then what we do, when we go to a trade show, we bring one of these with us for the state. And we use it as a tool to talk to the sheriff. When the sheriff comes to our booth, when the sheriff of A County comes to our booth, we're going to say, Sheriff, can you take a minute of time to look and make sure my information's correct? And it gives y'all something to hold and touch and look at each other. And he'll look at it and he'll say, no, we added on 30 beds, or we added on 50 beds. Or, you know, he'll either validate your stuff, or he'll give you the appropriate changes from what we call the horse's mouth. Sometimes he said he'll just tell you he don't know, he don't fool with that, which is a lot of times what I found and more today, especially out in states where the county commission is heavily involved in the process, they're leaving more up to the warden now, or the chief, instead of it actually being a sheriff office function. Because in most states I operate in, it requires signature by the judge and the sheriff. But I gave y'all a copy of this, and like I said, Robin Norton with Telecom Management Incorporated.
Test this. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Robin Norton, and I'm with Technologies Management, and we are a telecommunications regulatory consulting firm. And I'm just curious, I have lots of clients, very intense phone relationships, and rarely need them.
About billing, collections, bad debt, anything you saw in this report and what can affect them. Instead of hearing it from me, we brought him in so he could better portray the industry. Now, if y'all would please welcome Mr. Robert Comstock without ado. Thank
you. Okay, I'll try to give you as much information as I can and try to keep it as generic as I can. We're not the only billing agent in the room or in the industry, so I'll try to keep this general for you guys. But just to start off with a few things, just in terms of who ILD is, we've been around since 1996. We do more than $100 million in annual revenue every year, and a little bit more than double-digit growth that whole time. We're headquartered down in Ponte Vedra, Florida. We've got a number of operational facilities. We've got some in San Antonio, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, and Atlanta. And I think we're the largest inmate clearinghouse in the country. We do more than $100 million worth of inmate billings every single year. And we offer a whole bunch of services associated with that. Prepaid, validation, call transport, and then we've got some managed solutions. Some of you guys may have known us as well because we also have an operator services group. And we've also offer an audio and web conferencing service that a lot of people sell as well. And I say all that and show you some of the companies here just to give you a sense of I guess why David called me and asked me to come up here, because we do have some experience in the inmate industry, and you know, that's what I'm here to share. So let's get to the meat of the matter, the billing process.
But I'd like for you, I want to go through this with you. I hope to do a little, I learned this a long time ago when I used to work with these people over here at this table, and it helped me a lot. I call it a D-Day schedule. Now D+0 is your install. This is where you sit down with your vendor after contract award, and y'all work this out, because it'll keep you from falling on your feet, on your knees, and something going wrong here. If you got the contract signed D plus 0 is your install date. D minus 60 is contract signed, and D plus 60 is the day you pay your first commission. Now you see there's little insert lines in between there. Now, you know, somewhere in between D minus 60 and D plus 0, I'm going to have to order the circuit. So order the circuit's going to have to go in there somewhere. I want to probably do that right away. Then if they tell me it's going to be installed 15 days before the install, so D minus 15 would be test circuit, make sure it's installed. You always want to go ahead of time before it's your day to install. In other words, if my DSL line is going to show up 5 days before I've coordinated a removal with another vendor, because the last thing I want to do is show up with and him take his stuff out and they say, okay, plug your stuff up, you plug it up and your DSL line's dead. Because he's not going to wait on you. He's going to take his stuff and go. Okay? So somewhere in between D minus 60 and D plus 0 in your order of procession of things, you're going to have to insert test circuit. You're going to have to insert order equipment. Somewhere in there you've got to order your equipment. Somewhere in there you've got to work with your vendor. Maybe it's D minus 30. And let's say I picked on NCIC a while ago. Who can I pick on this time? Where's Rick and him over there? There's somewhere y'all got to sit down and determine static IPs. You've got to determine what the pseudo phone numbers of the phones are going to be. You've got to set all this up ahead of time. You can't wait till the day you show up and set all this up. And it goes back to what we very started. Remember, the start of this meeting, the word was plan. Okay? Well, if you go right back to the very first slide, the word is plan. This is something that you have, when you're awarded a contract, you need to get to work on this, because it's going to also identify who does what. Now, after the install, D plus 1 or D plus 2 days is going to be train the facility.